Steel Sports TV, we're live here at the American Baseball Coaches Association convention for 2020 here in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm proud to be joined by Andrew Bartman, the Director of Coaching Development with USA Baseball. And Andrew, thanks for joining us first off. But I know you've been at many of these throughout the years.
Yes, no doubt.
So when you come to one of the ABCA conventions, what's a good convention for you when you leave it, and your goals when you come out to these?
I think the most important thing for me when I come to this is to connect with friends, colleagues, guys I work camp with, guys I recruited, over the course of 12 years in college baseball, and then also working for the ABCA and USA Baseball. And I guess I measure the success based on how many hugs and how many handshakes I get when I'm here. And so just reconnecting and making sure that I keep those relationships intact is what's really important for me.
And I know you were with ABCA as on the youth side.
Yes.
And now you're with USA Baseball for Director of Coaching Development, and you've been on the job for about a year.
Correct.
So what have been some of the main goals you've pushed through in this first year on the job with USA Baseball?
Well, it's been a unique situation. I'm very fortunate in the fact that I walked into. We already had a really strong team at USA Baseball. We've got great people in our sport development department, and the organization as a whole. They had a ton of great resources that they have already created and that are great for players and for coaches and parents. And so my goal has been to connect those resources with as many people as possible in the youth, high school, travel, and college baseball side.
Okay, and I know you were a college baseball coach, correct? And so what from the coaching side, what have you been able to take from your days as a coach and applying it to the job that you have now?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think having an open mind as a coach and being willing to understand other people's point of views, and there's a million ways to hit and there's a million ways to pitch, and I understood that as a coach. Not all coaches today understand that. They think some guys only think there's one way to do it, and so as a national governing body, we want to highlight people that do things differently, just to make our game stronger.
And as far as the youth game is concerned and youth coaches, and it's really been an initiative, I guess, for ABCA, for USA Baseball as well, to really bring the youth coaches' involvement in recent years. Talk a little bit about the strides that have been made as far as bringing youth coaches in and really trying to educate those youth coaches.
Right, like I said, I think we've got great resources, and the ABCA does a great job as well. It's just being able to reach them, and we're working with some national member organizations, some of the big boys in the space that have thousands and hundreds of thousands of teams, getting them to adopt some of the free resources that we have and some of the educational initiatives that we're doing. It's a slow moving process, but I think we're making strides. And I go speak at different state organizations for high schools, and I say, hey, you guys are the most important people here because I need you to drill this down to all the youth coaches who I don't know that live in your community. So the high school coaches are really going to be a central focus for us, so then they can drill it down to the youth guys.
And and going back to the youth side, what are some of the challenges that you guys face as far as is it outreach to the youth community? So what are some of those challenges you guys face as far as trying to get your message out to as many as you can?
That exactly is the problem. Is we don't know who all of those youth coaches are, and so we can identify people via social media, online, via the national member organizations. But then there's so many different ways to play baseball in this country, which is great, which is awesome. But we're trying to be the national governing body and figure out who everybody is, so we can get our education in their hands, and that is the challenge.
And the resources that you talked about, the online education, the certification, what has that reception been like, since those programs have been launched and, carried through?
It's been great, to be honest with you, because everything that our team made, Lauren Ryan in our office does an outstanding job with our educational offerings. Everything our team made was great. It's 100% free. You can do it in a span of hours. You can say it's in hours. There's levels A, B, and C. You can do A and B completely online. Level A focuses on player safety, to be honest with you. So if you've never coached baseball before, take the 4 courses in Level A. You can go run a safe and effective practice, okay? And that's what our main concern is for Level A. Level B, you can do online with baseball fundamentals. Level C, you can do a portion of it online. Then you have to attend an in-person event, which part of my position is I coordinate over 150 free 3-hour community coaches clinics all around the country, which Steel Sports graciously held one for us at Baseball Heaven up in Yaphank. Had a great event. So those coaches clinics where we want to get people, honestly, away from the keyboards, away from the message boards, come out and listen to other coaches and share ideas, and that's our grassroots target to grow the game.
Any stories from coaches that you've dealt with, recently, as far as just sharing maybe it's a thank you or anything from coaches that the feedback that they've given you?
It has been really, really good, to be honest with you. I got a note last week from New Mexico. I spoke to the New Mexico High School State Association, so I go out there and talk, and just want to talk about our educational initiatives. Like I said, get the word out. That's really what we're doing. And then I get a note the next week, hey, Coach, I thought this was great. I'm a high school coach, but I showed this to our youth league in our town, and now the entire youth organization, it's a park district, which we had no idea who they were. That park district's going to adopt and require certification for all their coaches and do their background checks through us. So that's one more league that's going to be safer, and parents should know they're going to have better educated coaches, and they're going to have safer coaches in their program.
And the community coaches clinic, I know we were out in Arizona with you guys for one of those clinics, and those have just started. Is that correct? I think was the Arizona the first one.
That's our regional clinic.
The regional clinic. Okay,
Yep.
I'm sorry. But how have those gone? And what's the kind of focus for 2020 and getting those launched?
Well, I don't know how much I can say, but the regional clinics, there's only going to be 4 to 6 a year.
Okay.
And we chose the word regional for a reason. It's going to be
Sure.
in different corners of the country. We're only partnering with MLB clubs on those. So I can tell you that we have locked in November 14th and 15th with the Braves. We're going to be at SunTrust Park and going to be on the field at SunTrust Park. So working with big league clubs. The Twins are wanting to get something going. The Braves are trying to get something going. The Nationals, maybe the Mets, and then Arizona again. So we're going to be in all different areas of the country.
Great, and I got to ask you about Steel Sports, and as far as what you've seen with our coaching system and our philosophies and trying to push a positive message and really push character values. Just what have you seen from the onset as far as what you've been able to gauge of what we've been doing?
Well, I know your baseball director, Joe Santilli, very well, and Joe's who drew me into working with Steel Sports, doing some things with Steel Sports, and I love the character value, the character and the values, the push for that, because there's a lot of that missing in today's game. And your boy Jones, he had me ready to run through a brick wall out in Arizona. I was ready to go, so I had my notes out on my phone, and I was taking notes from him when he was talking. Just the passion that I think Steel can bring from the soccer world. The systems that are in place, some of those things that's missing in baseball, and then instill that into the baseball culture, I think is a great thing.
Do you coach? Do you coach any youth teams or anything, or are you completely out of it?
I'm completely out of it. I've got 6.
Do you miss it?
I've got 6 and 4-year-old daughters, so
Okay.
I go to dance class, and that's what I do in my free time. But I miss it. I don't miss practice, to be honest with you. I don't miss practice. I don't miss grade checks. I don't miss calls from the athletic director. I do miss the relationships, and so what I've been able to do over the past few years, it's been great. I've been able to reconnect with a lot of former players who I wouldn't have been able to spend that time because I would have had my current team. Mm-hmm. So I've got 13 years worth of college baseball players I get to reconnect with, and the greatest joy in my life is getting wedding invitations. So being able to do that, and the second greatest joy is I got to spend time last night with 3 of my former players here at the ABCA convention who are now coaching, which is, I'm very proud seeing those guys walking around the halls.
That's great. And thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. And for anyone that's watching and wants to hop on and take a look as far as the education, the resources, where do they need to go?
The easiest thing is to go to sportdev.org, sportdev.org. That's our sport development website for USA Baseball. And feel free to connect with me, shoot me an email, hit me on Twitter, Instagram, anything. I'll get right back to you.
That's Andrew Bartman with USA Baseball.